Thank you to the Helpdays for hosting, and Mazel Tov the Newman is one of the frequent hosts also, just had a baby. So it's a good Mazel Tov. Okay, so we're going to start tonight the halachos of the 3 weeks and the halachos of Shavasar Tammuz, the fast day of Shavasar Tammuz. It starts this Shabbos is the 17th, but it's pushed off until Sunday. So all the halachos that we're speaking about are going to be starting from Motzei Shabbos. Now, also I just want to clarify that these halachos are for Ashkenazim. There's a lot of differences in halacha between Sephardim and Ashkenazim when it comes to this time. So I mean, that's a lot of things will be similar, or the same, but I'm focusing more here on the Ashkenazim, and it could be certain things will be different for the Sephardim. We started a second ago. Things may be different for Sephardim, so if you're Sephardim, you should just check it out and make sure. So we're heading into a time period of the year that is a difficult time period for Klal Yisrael. I don't know, I find it for myself also, just personally, every year, Tammuz time is always difficult. I don't know if anyone else has this also, but it's like, time of difficulties, this time of Koshi, a lot of Sfarim write about it. It's, the 2 months of the year, Teves and Tammuz, are the 2 months of din, of, troubles for Klal Yisrael. And they say that, in fact, Tammuz is even, I don't want to say worse, but like a harsher month than Av. Because in Av, even though that was the month that you would think is the worst, Tisha B'Av is the worst, and we know that the halachos of Avelus are the most intense once we get to Rosh Chodesh Av, but at the same time, with the Churban of the Beis HaMikdash already began the process of the Tikkun, right? The Chazal tell us, one of the halachos like we're going to learn about Tisha B'Av is that after midday on Tisha B'Av, we don't sit on the floor anymore, because once the fires started in the Beis HaMikdash, that was already a good sign in Shemaim, because it meant that Hashem wanted to keep Klal Yisrael alive, and He was going to keep us going. And then we know, of course, a week and a half later is Tu B'Av, which is one of the happiest days of the year. Chazal say, that we're not happy days like the days of Tu B'Av. So Av is already a month that, on the contrary, Av turns from Kilkul into Tikkun. It goes from difficulty, into being fixed, and on the contrary, then it leads into Elul, and we know that Elul is, leading up into Tishrei and the Yom HaRaim. So Tammuz is really like the harshest month of the year in terms of like the cycle of the year, the way that things go. And a lot of the Sfarim write, a lot of tzaros befell Klal Yisrael, a lot of the worst atrocities in the Holocaust happened, during these months, Tammuz and Av, it's difficult times, a lot of times for Klal Yisrael. So it starts with Shavasar B'Tammuz, the fast day of Shavasar B'Tammuz. The fast of Shavasar B'Tammuz is to commemorate 5 different things that took place on that day. The Mishnah Berurah writes about it, what these things are. He says there are 5 things. Nishtabru al-luchos, kisharet Moshe min ahar, the first time when Moshe Rabbeinu came to them from Har Sinai, and he broke the luchos by Chet Egel. So that was, the first, terrible thing that happened on this day, on the 17th of Tammuz. Ubutal hatamid, od milicharev b'vayis rishon, the carbon hatamid, which was the daily sacrifice, the daily offering that was brought, and it was brought all the years during the times, from the times of the Mishkan all the way through the times of the Bayis Rishon until Shavasar B'Tammuz, before the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. But the carbon hatamid was stopped because they couldn't get animals into Jerusalem. The walls of Jerusalem, when there was a siege, they couldn't get any more animals in order to bring the carbon hatamid, and that was a terrible, terrible thing. Without getting into it now, but we know that karbanot are something that are very powerful and something very important to Hashem, so to speak, as it says in the Torah all over the place. And the carbon hatamid was something that was a tremendous merit for Klal Yisrael, a tremendous kapara and atonement for our sins, and a merit, and that's why Hashem took it away from us, because we didn't deserve it anymore. And one of the things that led to the Churban was the fact that we didn't have the merit of the carbon hatamid anymore, and that also happened on Shavasar B'Tammuz. That was the first day that a carbon hatamid was not brought anymore. So that was another terrible thing that happened. The wall of Jerusalem was breached during the second Beis HaMikdash. In the first Beis HaMikdash was also in Tammuz, but it was on the 9th of Tammuz. It was on Tesha B'Tammuz, but we only fast on the 17th. Now, the reason we only fast one time is because Chazal said it's too much to ask us to fast, twice like that, back to back, on the 9th and then again on the 17th. So they said we're only going to make one fast, and because we are still actually suffering from the second bias, from the second Beis HaMikdash, so they made the second Beis HaMikdash, the time of the breaching of the wall, the second Beis HaMikdash of Shavasar Tammuz, the time of the fast day, and not the 9th day of Tammuz, even though that happened earlier. And now this also, I just remember hearing this as a kid, all the years, Shavasar Tammuz, they breached the wall of Jerusalem, but also, we have to appreciate this was a tremendous tragedy. for the people that were there. Jerusalem was like a citadel. It was a very, very heavily protected city, and there were families there. Thousands and tens of thousands of people there, men, women, and children, families that were all living there, and they were slaughtered when they came in and they broke through the walls. It was exactly what took place in the Holocaust. But when Nazis would move into small villages and shtetls and go in there and just slaughter all the Jews on a wholesale level. It was the same thing that happened in the Churban Bayis even before the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. With terrible, terrible tragedies and atrocities. And the Gemara and Midrashim talk about terrible things, again rivaling anything that we've seen, worse maybe even things that you hear, stories from the Holocaust, torture and terrible things to children and women, everything. And that all began once they breached the walls of the city. So again, it's hard for us to to relate these times. The Holocaust is something that we can latch onto, and we'll talk about that. This is the time of the year that a person really should try to focus on these types of things more and think about the tzaros that befall Klal Yisrael. But it's important to import that back in time also, and to realize that these tzaros that we can know about, and that there's pictures of pogroms and the Holocaust and these types of things. This happened to Klal Yisrael during the time of the Churban also, and that was really the first time that it happened in this way. And that's really what the source of all of our mourning, of all of our avelos, is going back to here. So that's number 3, is that the wall of the city was breached. V'saraf apostumus harasha asatorah. This also was the first time that a Sefer Torah was ever burned in public by a goyim. They burned the Sefer Torah, and that it also happened on the 17th of Tammuz. And also v'humud tzelem behechal. They brought a Avodah Zarah into the Beis Hamikdash. They brought a tzelem, some sort of an idol, into the Beis Hamikdash, which obviously bringing a Avodah Zarah into the holiest place in the world. So all these 5 terrible things happened on Shavas Tammuz. But in addition to the sad things that happened on this day itself, and which is why it turns into a fast day, which we'll get to those halachos in a moment, but it also sets into motion the time that we call Bein HaMitzarim, between the difficulties. And it comes from a pasuk in Eicha. The pasuk in Eicha says, "Kol rodfeha hisiguha bein hamitzarim." All of her pursuers overtook her, and devoured her. Hisiguha, they bein hamitzarim. Between these difficult times. And Chazal said that's talking about these 21 days. The 21 days from Shavas Tammuz until Tisha B'Av, these 3 weeks. So these are the times of tzaros. I'll just tell you one nice idea about this. Rav Moshe David Valley writes that we know that when Mashiach comes, Mirz Hashem, before Shabbos, so these days are going to turn into days of Simcha, and on the contrary, Tisha B'Av is going to turn into a Yom Tif. So he says a very beautiful idea. He says, the pasuk says, "V'samachta b'chagecha," be happy in your chagim. V'hayisa ach sameach. Right? That the pasuk, there's a song. V'samachta b'chagecha. V'hayisa ach sameach. So what does that mean? V'samachta b'chagecha. Be happy with your chagim. Right? V'hayisa, but you're going to be ach sameach. Aleph is Aleph Chaf, which is 21. Right? He says, "Vayisa ach sameach." Now we only have the chagim that are making us happy, but we're going to, when Mashiach comes, then we're going to have 21 days of simcha. We're going to have a whole, 3 weeks of simcha. Vayisa ach sameach. Mirz Hashem, when Mashiach comes, and so that's what we're. 21. Aleph Chaf, right? Aleph Chaf is 21. Chaf is 20, and Aleph is 1 in Gematria.
Aleph Chaf, not.
Okay. No, Aleph Chaf. Aleph Chaf Sofit, but Chaf, Aleph is 21. So he says these 21 days. This time period that we are hoping, Hashem soon will switch from sadness into happiness. But in the meantime, there was a few simanim in Shulchan Aruch about this time period. So that we're going to discuss tonight, the different halachos and minhagim of avelos, of mourning that we have during this time period. So first, I just want to talk about the fast itself, Shavas Tammuz. The truth is that these halachos apply to all of the minor fasts, Shavas Tammuz and Asar B'Teves, and Tainus Esther, and Tzom Gedalia. Thank you. So the 4 minor fasts, all of them apply, as opposed to Tisha B'Av, which is on a higher level, and Yom Kippur, which is on the highest level. So Yom Kippur we're not going to be talking about at all, but Tisha B'Av we'll speak about when it gets closer to Tisha B'Av. But the other 4 fasts, it's called the Dalet Tzomos. The other 4 fasts, all the halachos are the same. That whatever the regular halachos of a fast day. I just want to go over a few things that people should be aware of. So again, the basic halacha we know: a person has to fast. That means no eating and no drinking. But the other halachos of fasting, a lot of people ask this. Are they allowed to wash or shower and anything like that? So all those other things are permissible to do. It's just eating and drinking that's not allowed on the minor fasts. On Tisha B'Av, obviously, we know there's more, in Yom Kippur as well. And in addition, on the minor fast, these 4 other fasts, The halacha is that it begins from the morning, from Alos HaShachar, and not from the night before, as opposed to, again, Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur, we know are the full 24, 25-hour fasts, but these other fasts begin from the morning before. So those are the two differences, eating and drinking, as opposed to all the other halachos. Those are the only two things that are prohibited, and it begins in the morning. Now, in general, the halacha is on a fast day. If a person is not feeling well, they don't have to fast, and that's the same thing on Shabbos or Tammuz. If a person does not even have to be on the level of a chol she'ein bo sakana. It doesn't even have to be on the level of a person who's totally sick and can't get out of bed, and a person who's, it's called in halacha a chol she'ein bo sakana. He does have a sakana. There's no threat to his life, but a person is very sick, with a fever or flu. It doesn't even need that level. As long as a person is not feeling well. Now again, it doesn't mean that they're tired and they have like a little bit of a headache and they're feeling shvach because they didn't have their coffee. But if a person is sick, a person has a bad headache, or a person is really feeling nauseous, or a person is feeling dizzy, or a person is feeling that they don't have the kochos, even on a normal, from normally not eating, they don't have the kochos to deal with their family and with their, what they need to be doing. So if, again, not just that they're tired, but that they're ill, they're not well. So then the halacha is that they're allowed to break the fast. And the truth of the matter is that this year it's a little bit more lenient because it's a nidche. The fast day is pushed off one day, because the 17th really falls out on Shabbos, and we're pushing the fast off one day. And we'll see on Tisha B'Av also that will yield some more leniencies in terms of a person being able to break their fast. But that's the halacha. A person should fast if they're not feeling well. They can break their fast. Certainly, if they're sick, if they have a fever, or migraine, or anything along those lines, a person is allowed to break their fast. In addition, a woman who is pregnant or nursing doesn't have to fast at all, even if she's feeling well, even if she's feeling fine. The halacha is as follows. They say as long as a woman is nursing, even if it's just once a day, for 2 years, they don't need to fast. Again, not talking about Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur, but all the other 4 fasts. A woman who is nursing, so she does not need to fast at all. She doesn't even need to wait and see how she's feeling. A person who is not nursing, but is right after birth, but she's choosing not to nurse. So the halacha is within 30 days of the birth, she doesn't have to fast. Beyond that, it's really a shaila. It's a question of the poskim whether a nursing woman is because of the fact that she's actually nursing, or no, that it's a time period after a woman gives birth that her body is in a more weakened and vulnerable state, and therefore she can get sick more easily. So that a person should ask a shaila if it comes up again, if it's within 2 years after a birth and a woman is not physically nursing, so she should ask a shaila if she finds it difficult to fast. And the same thing when it comes to a woman who is expecting. A woman who is pregnant does not need to fast at all. She doesn't even need to try and see if she could or should. She doesn't need to fast. But here also the halacha is within the first, if it's very early on, within the first 40 days, she should fast. The poskim say unless she's not feeling well. Sometimes people already have morning sickness or whatever. They're already not feeling well within 40 days, then they're allowed to break their fast. But let's say a woman just happens to know that she's pregnant. She did a test, but she feels fine and she does not feeling any ill effects. So then she should still be fasting the fast. But after 40 days already, then she does not need to fast. And certainly if she's not feeling well even before 40 days, she does not need to fast. Okay, that's the halacha. Otherwise, healthy people should, keep the day, fast, not eat, not drink. You're allowed to brush your teeth. You're allowed to use mouthwash if you make sure to spit everything out.
Brush your teeth.
If you spit everything out, you're allowed to. And again, not on Tisha B'Av, but with toothpaste. If you spit it out, if you spit it out, it's not considered an ochel toothpaste. It's not considered food. It's not something And
if you're gargling, if you're gargling in your mouth, I guess the water to wash out the toothpaste.
If a little bit comes, I'm saying try not to swallow. You have to try not to swallow, but you're allowed to rinse out your mouth on these days.
And you wash the whole hand?
Yeah, wash it. You could shower. On Shabbos with Tammuz. On Shabbos with Tammuz. Yeah, you can shower. Yeah, that's only on Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur that those halachos apply. And during the 9 days, there's halachos of washing, but that's not washing your head. I lost my train of thought for a second. What's it talking about? Taking pills. You're allowed to take pills, with a little bit of water. If you could dry swallow a pill, it's better. But if a person has a difficulty swallowing,
if you're on medication, you can take it when
you can take it with a little bit of water.
Yeah,
with a little bit of water. Just enough to let it go down. Not like taking a big swig, but just enough water to let it go down. Certainly, I'll just mention something. A lot of poskim in Israel, although I asked for advice and he does not hold this way at all. But especially for these fasts in the summertime, there are poskim in Israel who are more lenient on women fasting. I don't know if you've heard about this, but if you're having difficulty fasting, you should ask for shaila. Especially the Israel poskim are more lenient, especially for women because it's much hotter here, and with moving around, etc. But Okay, that's the halacha, eating and drinking, and that's Shavuos of the Tammuz. Okay. Anything else about the fast? Okay, the fast ends at nightfall, which comes out probably around 8:20 something, around 8:15, 8:20 or so here in Yerushalayim. It's the latest fast of the year, Shavuos of the Tammuz. And some places I remember we were in Copenhagen about 2 weeks after it finished, like 11 o'clock over there. We were there a few weeks after we looked at the Luach just to see. Okay, now what we mentioned earlier is that Shavuos of the Tammuz, sets in motion this difficult time period for Klal Yisrael. These 3 weeks we call again Bein HaMitzarim, this time of difficulty, of tzaros befalling Klal Yisrael. Historically, many things, many tragedies happened during this time, and as a result, this time period is considered to be a period of national mourning. It's a time of national avelos, that all of Klal Yisrael are together, feeling the loss of the Beis Hamikdash, the loss of the primacy of Klal Yisrael in the world, and the way everything's supposed to be working, and how everything is supposed to be, and we see the world as such a messed up, broken place, and all of these things are the result of us and our averos, and the fact that we don't have Mashiach, and it's our doing. If we were better and we were working harder, we would be there and we would have Mashiach, and that's what we're supposed to be reflecting on this time of the year. That we're not in a even though we think it's great and we're living there, it's Yisrael and it's all built up and all these things, but one needs to just scratch the surface and see that the world is not in a state of tikkun, and that's all because of this. It's all because of Klal Yisrael's averos and the fact that we don't have Mashiach, and that's what we're trying to focus on. This time period that we want to bring back the Beis Hamikdash, like Chazal tell us, any generation the Beis Hamikdash was not built in that generation, it's as if it was destroyed in that generation, because we obviously don't deserve it either, and if it would have been here, we wouldn't deserve it, and it would have been taken away from us also. So this is the time of year we're supposed to be feeling a little bit down on ourselves. We're supposed to be feeling like we really should be doing better, we're supposed to be trying to encourage ourselves to do better, time of not at all. Focusing on these sad types of things, and therefore there's a number of halachos that are set in place to kind of create this mood, to kind of create this feeling, that this is it's a sad time. It's not just a regular time. I'm sure nothing is coincidence. Hashem knows what He's doing. He knows how He runs the world. I remember growing up, this was always like the most frustrating thing, that it has to be during the summertime that this comes out. It has to be, you can't go swimming right when the 3 weeks, the 9 days that you want to go swimming the most.
It's a big dichotomy. Like so your summer, you think of summer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a mistake.
We get deeper and deeper into.
I think it's Hashem knows what He's doing, and can you imagine what the summers would be like without this time period? I think about that. Summers would be so different, right? Without it, I think it makes a big difference.
It's a big difference. In the winter, it wouldn't be like, okay, fine, so it's winter, but in the summer, it's exactly
the time that you want to feel like you want to. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's obviously it's not a mistake. I think, although for the southern hemisphere, it's different. I guess I don't know if anyone watching down there, you can tell us what it's like. It's definitely something. It's definitely one of those halachic time periods that you feel, and you feel it more than Sfiras Omer, because it gets more and more intense, and there's more things. So I want to talk about this. I heard an interesting thing when a person is in a velus for a parent. So there's 3 time periods. There's the time period of Shiva, which is like the most intense time period of Avelos. And then there's a time period of Shloshim, which is the first 30 days, which is a little bit less intense, but there's still a lot of halachos that are there. And then there's the period of the year of Avelos, where there's more, still there are some halachos that remain throughout the entire year. A person can't listen to music and go to weddings and these types of things. So I heard once a very beautiful idea in the name of Yosef Soloveitchik from YU, and he said that this whole halachic period is modeled after Avelos, and it goes like from the year to the Shloshim down to Tisha B'Av itself, which is when a person is like in Shiva that they can't even say hello to other people, etc. So there's a lot of parallels between the halachot of a year of Avelos, a person who is in a year of Avelos on their parent, and halachos of the 3 weeks. Not exactly, but there's a number of parallels along the way. Okay, so the first thing that the Shulchan Aruch brings down, the halachos are a little bit scattered out within the Sivan, because it brings in different areas, different halachos. But the first thing that it brings down, it says v'nogin lahachber she'ein nosin mishavasa b'tamuz ve'elech ad achar tishbav. That this is the Ramah brings us down. This is the minhag for Ashkenazim, that we don't get married. The minhag is that there's no weddings from Shavasa b'Tamuz until Tisha B'Av, and that's this starting from next week. So starting from Motzei Shabbos, Sunday, Ashkenazim don't make weddings. A wedding obviously is a happy, joyous occasion, and this is not the time for that, so we push that off until after Tisha B'Av. Now, it's in this halacha of the weddings that the halacha of music comes up. I want to just spend a couple minutes speaking about this because it's something that people always ask about. They always want to know what's the source and where does it come from and what are the halachos exactly. And so I want to spend a few minutes trying just to explain this and hopefully to get it clear and to explain what the halachos are. Just to try to get it clear. So again, the Shulchan Aruch tells us, the Ramah says that we don't get married during this time period. So then the Mishnah Berurah comments about this. And he says, what about making like a party, like an engagement party or something like that? So he says, that's okay, just to get together and have a little bit of things without having, a big party. That's okay. However, it's also to make dancing and rikudim is like a couple, 2-3 people dancing. Mecholos is like dancing in circles. So this is also to do even not at an engagement party, just to sing and dance, enjoy it. Well, it doesn't even say to sing, to dance, and make a rakida. That's prohibited to do for this time period. That's what it says. So the poskim say, this is already going back almost 100 years that it's in Shuvos that it's written about this, that included in this prohibition has been Klal Yisrael accepted that they did not listen to live music. That listening to music playing during this time period, even though it doesn't say it in the Shulchan Aruch, it doesn't say it in the Mishnah Berurah, it just talks about dancing. But this is what the Sfarim write. This is brought down in Rosh Feinstein in the Tshuva writes this, and the Minchas Yitzchak in the Tshuva writes this, that the minhag in Klal Yisrael was always during this time period not to listen to live music. In other words, in Klal Yisrael always there were peddlers or people in the streets who played music. There would be events and dinners. People so during this time period people wouldn't be playing music. So how does that apply nowadays? With tapes and CD, well, not tapes anymore, CDs and MP3, CDs, and your phone, all these things. So I want to just explain, what the poskim say about this. Again, focusing on the root of this halacha is really based in weddings and dancing and joyous music, right? When I spoke to this with Rav Asher Weiss, he said, actually I never realized this before, but klezmer music, right? Where does the word klezmer come from? Does anyone know this? Klezmer. I never knew that before. My wife told that to me. It's very interesting. Klezmer is klezmer music. Yeah, what's klezmer music? It's very soulful, upbeat, music. That's like the klezmer. So he said, the type of music, right, the live music, the type of music that is being discussed in the poskim is music that relates to this, music that relates to weddings, to rikudim and mecholos, and that, joyous, upbeat, that type of music. But first of all, this Rosh Zalman writes, music that is like slow and not thought-provoking, but inspirational music, or so that was never included in this to begin with. That's first of all. So if a person wants to listen to music, or needs to listen to music, again, look, the minhag in Klal Yisrael is we don't in general. People abstain from listening, but it's not like an avera across the board. You understand? It's not like an avera. The avera is to be in a joyous state, certainly to dance and sing. That's what's in the poskim. But to listen to music if a person is feeling lonely, or if a person has a very long drive, certainly if a person for exercising, or all these other things that people have for exercising, for sure it's mutter. Even poskim are much more machmir than this, are permitted listening to music. I haven't seen anybody who says it's not for exercising.
Up until the 9 days, or
no, including the 9 days, Even a person in Avelos, even a person who's in Avelos for their parents, allowed to listen to music if it's for exercising to help them go. Rav Asher Weiss took it even a step further. He said, any music that's not really bringing you about to simcha is not really usher. That's what he said. In other words, again, he said, you shouldn't go around listening to music and playing music all around your house. Now, the minhag is not to, but a lot of times I get these questions of people. What about this? What about that? I have a long drive. I have a long plane ride. I have this. I have that. I have a lot of chores to do. I have work to do. I have studying to do. All these different things. So I don't think any of those cases are usher. I think anytime a person is not listening to music in order to get jazzed up and excited and happy, they're certainly listening to slow music. That again, even Rosh Zalman Auerbach said that's permissible. Slow music or classical music, again.
Classical music. So I know that there's things like on Radio Kol Chai, right? So they on the Fermi station, So they only do a cappella. There's
so
no...
a cappella itself also is a big question.
Because that's more, a lot of times that's more misamech, even though it's not...
Correct. So Rosh Chodesh says that explicitly. He says there's no difference between a cappella music, and not everybody agrees to this. There's many different opinions in the post, but this is what I tell people. To me, it's like a joke a little bit that the a cappella music sounds exactly like regular music nowadays. They they're turning all their voices into instruments, and you have everything. So Rosh Chodesh says it explicitly. There's no difference between a cappella and not a cappella. If it's happy music, it's usher. If it's sad music, it's fine. But I'm saying Rav Weiss is even more makil than that, and again saying that in any of these scenarios where a person is not listening to music in order to bring about a state of simcha, there's something. So he said that's not considered in the gzera. He felt that was like taking it too far, because that's the minhag in Klal Yisrael. He wasn't undercutting the minhag, but that's not where the halacha took the prohibition to. That you can't have any music playing in your ears for the whole 3 weeks. It's not what the halacha is. That's the interesting. Even though again many people do that. I don't listen to music during the time at all. But many people feel like they need to, or they have these types of things. So in any of those scenarios. A person has music playing at work or whatever, just to keep the whatever it does for a person, so that's what to do.
What about other things that bring you extreme simcha?
Okay, so hold on. So some things yes, some things no. In other words, let's see. We'll see. We'll talk about a few things. You are allowed to get engaged. I mean, you're allowed to get engaged even on Tisha B'Av itself. It's interesting. Even on Tisha B'Av, a person's allowed to get engaged. Yeah, why? Shem yikadmenu acher. So somebody else shouldn't grab her, right? That's what the halacha. That's really what it is. That's what the halacha is. Yeah, a person finds a girl. He feels that he really she's the right one. And he just saw her across at the kinos, and he knew she was the one. So even on Tisha B'Av, a person's allowed to get engaged.
But do people? Okay, you're allowed.
No, I don't know. I personally don't know of anybody who got engaged on Tisha B'Av. I've never heard of it.
You're allowed to know what's going on.
I've never heard of it.
Maybe in extreme circumstances.
Maybe an extreme.
Flee or something.
Right. It could be. It's
war,
Yeah.
but not.
Okay.
Do it as soon as you can.
So now there's another two halachos that apply before we get to Rosh Chodesh Av. Once Rosh Chodesh Av comes, it's much more intense with the washing and the clothing and all these other things. But there's two more halachos that apply. One of them is more straightforward and simple, which is the halacha of tispores, of getting a haircut. So just want to go over that. The halacha is, a person also, because getting a haircut is considered to be something that's like makes you look proper and fit, and when a person has a haircut, they look like put together, and that the halacha is before Yantif, a person has to get a haircut. A person has a bris, the father of the bris says the father of the son has to get a haircut. Having a haircut is like a mechubad. It's like a mechubad thing. So we don't do that during this time. We're supposed to not be so kempt during this time. We're not supposed to be put together. And this is the halacha of avelus also. The halacha of a person who's in avelus for a parent. They can't get a haircut the whole year unless a person, at least men, I don't know how it applies to women, at least men, they're not allowed to get a haircut unless somebody tells them, you know what, it's time to get a haircut. That's the halacha. Otherwise they have to let their hair grow, because it's not right that I should be grooming myself and making myself look nice and pretty or whatever, during this time period. I'm supposed to be distracted by these distressing thoughts. It's not a time to be grooming like that. However, the halacha is this only applies when it comes to women to hair on your head. Men, it applies to hair as well as shaving. But there's questions about this in the posting. But halacha ma'isa, all other hair removal questions are permissible. So any other question you may ask about epilating or lasers or this or depilatories or waxing, right? It's all mutter. It's all mutter.
I was reading on Shabbat. It said that ladies can't shave.
It's a question, like I said, it's a question in the poskim. The different poskim who talk about it. There's no question that a married woman is allowed to, so that she looks attractive to her husband. There's no question that a dating woman is allowed to, so that she looks attractive to the people that she's dating. A person who doesn't need to at all and just wants to, so that she'll so that's a question in the poskim. There's a question about that, but even that they're poskim that make and say that this really only applies to around the head. But certainly a married woman is so that's when it comes to getting haircuts. And sometimes there are shilas that men have that they have to shave for a job interview or for an important meeting. So those a person should ask a shilah on a case by case basis. I think this is only for Ashkenazim, right? Sfardim until Av, is that true? Until the week of Tisha B'Av, I think. Okay, I'm not sure. Sfardim, ask a Shaila, Sfardim. Ask a Shaila. Okay, now the last halacha that we have during this time period specifically is a halacha that also gets to do with what you just asked. Is healthy about being very happy about things and being very sympathetic about things. So there's a halacha like this: whenever a person buys something that brings them real happiness, which we're going to talk about these halachos now. So there's a bracha that we make of shechianu, right? Bracha Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, shechianu v'kimanu v'gianu l'zman hazeh. So it's a bracha. I know a lot of people know that they make it when they get new clothing or something like that. But really, the halacha is that you're supposed to make it anytime you get something that is valuable, that you really are happy that you got. Like a person gets a new cell phone. That can cost a few $100s, that you make a bracha on, you make a shechianu on a cell phone.
Even if I've had it a few weeks, and I love this.
Oh, so I'll get to that in a second. One second, we'll get to that in a second. You get a new computer, you get a new car, an air conditioner. Moshe Feinstein has the truth about this. A person gets an air conditioning unit, let's say, in their house. That's an expensive thing that they're very happy about. Some of us much more than others, and they value it very much. So anything like this, the halacha is that a new laptop, anything like this. You a sheitel, a new sheitel, a person makes a shechianu. I'll tell you the one area where it's a question where you don't. I asked once about glasses, about getting new glasses. Let's say even a person gets a very expensive pair of glasses. So I asked this to a few different poskim once because it came up. Well, see in a second. It came up during the 3 weeks getting a new pair of glasses. So it's a machlokas the poskim. There are poskim that talk about a cane, a fancy cane that a person got, and they asked that the shaila was should you make a shechianu, and so the Achronim said no. Because you're only getting a cane to help you walk, which means it's like you have a chisaron there, and the cane is coming to help you fill that. That's not something you're going to make a bracha on, and thank you Hashem for letting me live until this point. Exactly. So some poskim say it's the same thing with glasses, and therefore the halach is we don't make a shechianu on glasses. So other poskim disagreed. They said that no, but that's what we say. Halacha you don't make a shechianu. Now the halacha of shechianu is interesting in that. The same exact item and the same exact simcha, it's only a shechianu if it's personal and only to me. But if it's spread among my family and it's spread among other people, then it gets a different bracha. And that bracha is hatov v'hametiv. And this is a lot of people are not aware of this halacha. But let's go back to these examples that I just gave. You get a new sheitel, you get a new piece of jewelry, let's say, so that's yours. That nobody else is benefiting from that, so to speak. So that's a shechianu. But let's say you get a new air conditioner. So if you live alone, you have your own apartments and you make a shechianu. But if you live with other people, or certainly if you live in a home with your family, so then the air conditioner or a new dining room table or that gets a tov v'hametiv. Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, hatov v'hametiv. Same thing with a new car. Rav Moshe says, if a person gets a new car, Moshe Feinstein says it's true about this. If a person gets a car for their own personal use to go to work or whatever, that would be a shechianu. But let's say they get a family car, then the bracha is a tov v'hametiv. Somebody just got a new refrigerator. A friend of mine I know has got a new refrigerator, so I sent them a text. Did you make a tov v'hametiv? Didn't think about that, right? Did you make a tov v'hametiv? That's something that the whole family benefits from. Now, this is a very important distinction because the halacha is as follows. The Shulchan Aruch writes, "Tov lizarim elomer shechianu bein hamitzarim." Yeah, our minhag, it's not just tov. We take it as we say it's asur to do. We say it's the Mishnah says we don't do this. We don't make a bracha of shechianu bein hamitzarim between Shavas Tammuz until Tisha B'Av. Al pri or al malbush on a new fruit or a new article of clothing, etc. What's the reason? The Mishnah Berurah says, because zuzman paranios in kedai lomer shechianu l'zman hazeh. It's a time of difficulty. It's a time of tzaros for Klal Yisrael, of tragedies and suffering. So we don't say, "Oh, thank you Hashem for letting me live to this day." We don't do that. We don't make the shechianu in this time period. But Rav Moshe points out that it's not the joy of the item that's the issue; it's the bracha. Right? And therefore, Moshe says that if it's an item that the bracha would be a tov v'hametiv, you're allowed to buy it during this time period. Right? You're allowed to get it. In other words, the Avera is not to be happy now. The Avera is not to be like, oh, I'm excited that I bought this thing. Again, maybe it's not the best time to do it. If you're planning on going away on a vacation and you could do it after or do, it's not the best time to do it. It is a time of mourning. It is a time we're supposed to be sad, but we're asking practically, halacha l'maisa, am I allowed to, buy something during this time period? So that's the halacha. If it's something that's going to require shechianu, new clothing that's expensive, a new sheitel, or a new jewelry, or a new car that's for personal use, any of these things, a new cell phone or a tablet, whatever, then you're not allowed to do it.
For personal use.
For personal use, shechianu, exactly. But if it's the same exact item, but you're sharing it with other people, and now there's 3 people that are happy, and not just one person, then it's mutter. Because the bracha, the issue is the words of the bracha, saying those words, shechianu v'kiyamanu, that I can't say.
I see.
Does it have to be something new? Like, what if you get gifted a really nice bracelet from your grandma?
Jewelry like that, yes. I'm saying one of the classic cases of shechianu a person makes is when they get an inheritance. So, something like jewelry, that yes. But somebody just recently asked me this. What did they ask me about a used computer or something? And I said I think not. I don't know if I ever looked it up afterwards.
That would bring you joy.
No, I understand, but there's something. I think something like a jewelry, which it doesn't lose anything by being used, and on the contrary, the longer it's around, the older it is, the more expensive it is. Then for sure, the halacha is you make a shechianu if you get a piece of jewelry, as an heirloom or something goes passed down. But let's say you buy a used car. Or a used thing. I have to double check. I have to double check if you make a shechianu on a used item like that. I don't recall. That would be a difference also during this time period. If it was something that was used, that you would be allowed to buy something, then you'd be allowed to get it. Now, I just want to point out also just something, because a point of confusion that people get mixed up between the 9 days and the 3 weeks. And Sfiras HaOmer, people also ask about buying things. And just to make it clear, Sfiras HaOmer, you could buy anything, anytime. There's none of these halachos apply at all. Once we get to Rosh Chodesh Av, for the 9 days, the halachos are going to intensify a lot, and we're going to see that you can't not only buy things that are shechianu, but you can't buy anything at all during that time period, except for the basic necessities if you need them. But we're going to see that from Tisha B'Av and onwards, you're not allowed to do a lot more. I'm sorry.
From Rosh Chodesh.
From Rosh Chodesh. Thank you. From Rosh Chodesh until Tisha B'Av, you're not allowed to do. You can't buy all sorts of things. During this time period, though, it's just the issue of shechianu.
So Rosh Chodesh, you can't celebrate or have a haircut or anything?
No. On Rosh Chodesh itself, no. I think it's more intense. Sfardim, I think this area also, Sfardim are different than Ashkenazim, if I'm not correct about this. And sometimes I have to see what happens this year. It could be Rosh Chodesh comes out on Erev Shabbos. Does it come out? I think sometimes if Rosh Chodesh comes out on Erev Shabbos, then there could be I have to double check that.
It might be because Tisha B'Av
it'll be Thursday.
goes
It'll
on
be
Shabbos.
Thursday. Yes, it'll be Thursday.
So what's the pag tokef on that? Like if your phone's, because I'm just learning this now, it's a few weeks old.
If you still have the same simcha,
that's
I say, if you still have the same simcha, if you're still like, when you pick up your phone, you're like, ooh, I'm still happy with this phone, I'm like really liking it, and then you still make the bracha. That's if you're still feeling that leftover of that initial.
It didn't wear off yet.
It didn't wear off yet. Then you can still make the bracha.
And a tova meitiv.
I think the same thing, the same idea. Tova Meitiv is like the parallel to Shechianu, it's just the number of people that are benefiting.
You sleep in an apartment when you move?
No, when you buy, then there's a bracha you make. There's a Chanukah's Bayis, you make a bracha, but when you rent, I don't think so.
And the shopping thing. So up until the 9 days, you can shop like.
Yeah, you can shop.
Kids going to America, they can
as long as it's not shechianu.
Baby, clothes for the kids.
As long as it's not shechianu stuff.
Shechianu is something that would be like.
Chashuv, something special, expensive, a Shabbos suit or
not your basic Carter's.
Yeah, no, the basic things that's what to do.
Is cost not necessarily relevant as long as it has value to you?
I don't know. I don't know something. No, I think it has to have a certain amount of financial value. I'm sorry.
For example, a phone. For one person, maybe like $800 might be a lot. For another person, maybe $200 or $100 might be a lot. So
I hear that. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works. If that cost aspect is relative. In other words, it may be relative on the low side. I don't think it'd be relative on the high side. In other words, although a person may not feel simcha. In other words, a person who buys 3-4 new phones a year, so he doesn't feel that same exciting simcha than a person who has only a phone for 3 years and then gets a new one. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure like how that. What you're asking a good question. I don't know. Maybe there is no. But I don't think we make it on something that doesn't have inherently a certain chashivas or a certain value. A person is very, very excited to get. I don't know, like an autographed piece of paper from somebody that really has no inherent value. I don't know that they make a shechianu on that. I have to double check. I'm not sure. Is there anything else I want to say? Okay, I just want to bring up a few. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, so basic stuff that you need, like undergarments or just whatever you need, it can be bought
Certainly, until Rosh Chodesh, yeah.
Until Rosh Chodesh.
Certainly until Rosh Chodesh.
Nothing like fancy or
Again,
celebration.
Yeah, for celebrations you shouldn't. It's not a time to. Again,
Shoes,
you
if you
can
need
shoes you can get. Yeah,
shoes.
shoes are mutter to get. Any type of clothing that's not an expensive fancy
Right.
piece of clothing you can get. Somebody asked just on the WhatsApp group. Somebody asked, "Are you allowed to make an engagement party during this time period?" So we saw, you can, but only with just like some cake and stuff like that. Somebody said, can you make a bridal shower? So I said no, because most things that you get in a bridal shower, many things are going to be shachianu items. You get a new blender, a new this, right, and whatever. So things like that, you would have to make a bracha on, so you would not be allowed to do that. Just having a get together with friends, that's what to do. Somebody asked, can they go to a baseball game? Is what to go to a baseball game?
During the 9 days.
That was during the 9 days that they
I think
asked.
so.
I hope I said no. Did I say no? I should have said no.
He said it was mutter.
I said mutter to go
I
during
think
the
it
9
was
days to a
9
baseball
days.
game.
Oh, maybe they said
During the 3 weeks,
maybe they
yeah.
said not during the 9 days.
Yeah, I wouldn't-
9 days was
yeah.
mentioned. I don't remember if
Okay,
they
I have
meant
to double
that.
check. I hope I said
So
no.
during the
I
9 days,
said
no, but during the rest of the time, yes.
Yeah, I think. Look,
It was-
again, I don't know
you
if
said
it'd be
it
the
was
best.
mutter.
I don't think it was the best time. If you have a choice of going to a game during the 3 weeks or after, it's better to go after. It's again, it's all. It's an interesting thing. The Shulchan Aruch says the last halacha here in this siman in Taf Kuf Nun Aleph. Tzarich li zahir, you have to be careful. B'shivasar b'Tammuz at Tisha B'Av. Yeah, from this time period, these 3 weeks, you have to be careful. Shelo leilech yichidi, midalet shos at Tisha shos. Not to walk around by yourself at certain times of the day. V'lo yaku at talmidim b'yom hamehem. Don't patch your students during this time period. It's like a time period of like you're supposed to be, aware of the.
It's insecure time.
It's a danger, like a dangerous. It's not a time to be around and carefree. So again, everything depends on the situation. I don't know if that means that it's an avera to go to a baseball game with friends that want to get together, and there's no other time to do it. During the 9 days, I would say it's asur. But during the 3 weeks, I would think it's mutter to do. Again, I don't think I would do it. I don't think it's the most appropriate thing to do, but I don't think it's asur to do.
So like people like air travel.
Air travel is mutter, even during the 9 days if you need to. If you can avoid it, it's best to avoid it. Again, you shouldn't plan a trip during this time. But some people that say like,
holiday.
Sorry.
We postponed our holiday during the 3 weeks.
Yeah, somebody told me that they booked a trip and it came out.
Enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll tell you one example though. I know I had a friend of mine when I was in yeshiva who was in a band, right, in like a simcha band and in an orchestra or whatever they play at weddings. It's like the only time of year that he is off is Sphira and the 3 weeks. And so he would go away not during the 9 days, but during the 3 weeks. He would use that time to go away. It's not I think we've done family vacations during that time also when we have no other choice. But that's something that's like important to do. But if you're just looking to like do something for fun, just like to have that chavaya, and it's not like necessary for friendship reasons or for family reasons. I don't think this is the time to be.
So even like meeting with your friends, socializing.
No, I think that getting together for a cup of coffee, I don't think is included in this at all. I think that's totally fine. That's not like going to a baseball game, which is like like a simchadik outing, and there's music there, and there's it's like a festive type of an atmosphere, and that type of thing. Assuming it's mutter anyway. Some people say it's called the Moshe of Leitzim, and you can't go anywhere. But it's not a time for doing parties and things like that. I think somebody asked me about a bridal shower or whatever. It couldn't have been a bridal shower because I was give somebody something else. I said, there's no other time to do it, and this is the only time, and there's not going to be singing, there's not going to be dancing. It's mutter to do, but it's not the most appropriate time to do it. It is a good time, like I said, to be reading books about the Holocaust, to be, there's tons of stuff on YouTube and interviews and videos, all sorts of things, just like to help plug us in and
what about
connect
the
us.
kids? That's I know what to do with them, but like I've been working till now, so now's my time to be with them and take them to places. But all I can think of is like museums and.
You're allowed to go. You're allowed, again, certainly until Rosh Chodesh Av, you're allowed to go places, especially with your kids. If this is the only time that you could do it, because again, it's not swimming until Av. You can do it.
Really?
Yeah. Until Rosh Chodesh Av, you can swim for sure. Yeah, you can go to the beach. You can 100% until Rosh Chodesh Av. Swimming only becomes asur for Ashkenazim on the Rosh Chodesh. Then it becomes a problem. But until then, it's only these things: getting married, haircuts, married, dancing, music, that whole thing, haircuts, and shahyan.
And no patching your kids. That's also.
It's not one of the averas. It's just what says below Yaakov Talmidim. It's like not a time to be. I think it's not a time to do it.
Quite well.
It's not a time to. Well, what does it say? The feel was
Even things like bowling and cinema or stuff like that until the 9 days.
I think until the 9 days. Again, like if it's with the cheshbon of this is why you're doing it, what you need to do now. Then I think it's I don't think it's a problem.
I remember hearing for years there was the thought that you could go swimming if you'd gone before the 3 weeks, then you could go during the 3 weeks.
No, I never heard
I've
that.
heard
There's nothing. No. One second. Until the 9 days is nothing. Until Rosh Chodesh Av, swim as much as you want. There's no such thing. There's no such halacha. Until the 9 days, you can swim as much as you want. You shouldn't swim in dangerous places. That's like this. You're not supposed to do dangerous things. This is not the time you want to start doing skydiving and things that you're not supposed to do. You shouldn't do anything dangerous during this time period. But you can go swimming until Rosh Chodesh Av. From Rosh Chodesh Av onwards, then there's a separate halachot which we'll talk about if you're allowed to for health reasons, whatever. We'll get there.
Is hiking considered dangerous?
I guess depends where and how. You know what I mean? It depends. Just going on a nature walk, is okay. Trying to climb up a cliff face, maybe not. Okay. Now I think maybe next week we're going to take a break, and then the week after we'll do the halachos of the 9 days, and then the week after we'll do Tisha B'av. I think would that work? If we take a break for next week, and then the week after that will be the week before the 9 days, and then the week after that will be the week before Tisha B'av.
The week that we have a shiur again will be the Monday night, and then
Monday night. Rosh
Chodesh
Chodesh is like Wednesday night, exactly, and then the next Monday night will be the Monday night before Shabbos, which is Tisha B'av. That's how I cheshbon it out.
Okay.
There's that many halachos?
Yeah, we could do a night on the 9 days and a night on Tisha B'av. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So can we just discuss this for a second about the not wearing clean clothes during the 9 days? Because we're only going to talk about it like 2 days before. So what's that in yet?
Not wearing clean clothes.
Freshly laundered
Okay, so you're not going to have enough time by the time we get to that.
Yeah, you just make sure there's laundry done and try everything.
Okay, so I mean, you can't do any laundry or have any laundry done in your home at all. In other words, even if you have a non-Jewish person who you don't even say anything, she just picks it up. You can't do that. You have to tell her not to do that during the time. You can't have any laundry done in your house. You are not allowed to wear clean outer garments. In other words, undergarments it doesn't apply to. A person can change their underwear every day, multiple times a day. It only applies to the outer, the outer, not the what the big day zayah, the sweat garments. You can change socks and stockings and things like that. But the outer garments, you're not supposed to wear clean, freshly laundered garments during this time period. During the 9 days, except on Shabbos. On Shabbos it's mutter. So what people do generally is they'll wear it for a few minutes before Rosh Chodesh. They'll change a number of shirts or a number of skirts, throughout that week or a few days before Rosh Chodesh, so that the clothing will be available for them. The same thing with towels and sheets and linens and all those things, all the same. Kids' clothing, kids that get dirty every day you can wash, yes.
And undergarments.
No, you can't wash. No. You can't wash undergarments. No. How can you not? What do you mean?
You run out.
No, then you have to get more. You have to make sure you have enough. Yeah, you're not allowed to wash.
Buy than to wash.
I think so. Yeah, you're not allowed. I don't think so. I could double check that. I'll double check that before we get to the shiur. But you're not allowed to wash undergarments on
Wait, but
9 days.
little kids,
children's
you
clothing.
can do children's laundry during the 9 days.
Yeah, if you need to. If you're running out of clothing for them, and it's the type of kids that they get dirty every day, then you're allowed to do that.
But you could wash only the
Only them. Yeah, you can't fill up a load. You
No,
can
no, only
do
little kids
only
laundry.
their. Only their
Sorry,
laundry.
you said you have to use you can't wash linen and towels?
You can't wash anything. You can't wash anything except for children's
no, but
clothing.
if you're using it, you have to
You should
put
try to
it
use
on
it in
for a
advance. Yeah, well, not put it on, but let's say what we'll do for the day or two before is anytime we wash our hands, we'll just use a towel one time,
linen,
and then
it up and
or just okay. Well, we'll get to it.
Step on it.
I'm saying that some folks can say you can do that, but it's better if you would put it over the bed. You can put a few layers of sheets over the bed and then pull it off.
I just have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we are planning to go away after Tisha B'av, 2 days after. So I was thinking, there's not going to be enough time to wash all the clothes between end of the 9 days to going away. So I'll just have to pack before the 9 days.
Well, I believe this year you're allowed to start laundry already Sunday night, maybe because
From Sunday to Monday we fly Monday night.
You fly Monday night.
There's not enough time to prepare a lot of suitcases and stuff. So I'll have to do it before the 9 days, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not allowed to do laundry. I'm saying you wouldn't be allowed to
Right, so
launder
I'm
stuff
saying
that
we
night.
have to
Get it
prepare
ready for
everything
before it.
before the 9 days.
Well, right, or just bring it dirty and then wash it there. You could do that also.
No, the other problem is leaving the house with a lot of dirty clothes.
Also,
After 9
right,
days.
right.
It's like,
Right, that's a lot of stuff.